little introduction from my side. I tried to put it on one page, and in the end you realize that it's maybe still not talking too much about yourself. It's about the topic. So as you can see, I have a little bit of history in consulting, executive recruiting, and I am with Infineon now since roughly 4.5 years. And since 2023, I'm the global leader for the recruiting organization. And I don't have any numbers of team or anything else because we are actually quite a big organization, as you will see in the next page. So in my team, we are talking about 75 recruiters globally, which is quite a lot. And this brings you also to the point that we're not talking about 1,000 applications per month. This is more our daily rate, but it brings you to different challenges as well. Yeah, talking a little bit about Infineon. I had a nice conversation in the break. And we realized that Infineon is actually not so well known. I mean, we are a German company, former Siemens Semiconductors, and we had our IPO nearly 30 years ago. And now we are a quite big company, and we are the market leader for power semiconductors. So we don't have a consumer brand like other companies like Bosch or Siemens and so on. We have a lot of our semiconductors in products you're using daily. Electromobility, for example. So if you're driving an e-car without any semiconductors, there's no way to drive your e-car anymore, or to charge your car, or to drive with an electric train, or anything else. So as you can see, we have really a lot of market share in these areas and a global footprint. And these are actually our main drivers: energy, mobility, Internet of Things, mobility, AI. Also in this area, we are active. We are not an NVIDIA, so we are not producing AI chips. But if you run a data center with AI, then you need power, quite a lot of power for that. And for that, you need power semiconductors. So it's also part of our market. Yeah, as you can see, we have nearly 58,000, or now nearly 60,000, but a bit more than 58,000 employees globally. A lot of different locations. I mainly focus my work at the moment on the production locations, and we are having 15 manufacturing locations globally, from Mexico, Tijuana, to Greater China, so across the world. And it's quite nice to see our population also growing in this direction. As you can see, the semiconductor industry is a little bit cyclical, and we went down in the last fiscal year, which ended in September last year, a little bit, according to the general semiconductor market. And now we are going up. And what I am going to talk about today is the up and down in the semiconductor industry. It's not only the market share, it's not the financial part, it's also about the recruiting part and bringing the right talent into place. And in the next chart, you see actually the recruiting volume since I joined Infineon with the amount of open positions at the same time. And just to bring it a little bit into perspective, in the first 12 months since I joined Infineon, we tripled the amount of open positions globally. And then it's a steady up and down. And as you can see a little bit in the right part of the chart, we are coming back to this track. So the overall semiconductor industry is already going up, and the power semiconductors are usually 6 to 18 months behind. So we will see this trend in the next year. So in the next fiscal year, most likely, that we will go up quite a lot again. And I mentioned that in the break, there is no gray zone in the semiconductor industry. It's either black or white. So there's nothing in between. There is a hiring freeze or full throttle. So you're having to recruit as hell, and the business is not waiting for you. So we really have to make sure that we are delivering also our talent at the right point and the right quality in the right location, to make sure that our business is running. And I'm not only talking about production, I also talk about R&D, sales, also these people. Out of this nearly 60,000 employees, we have around 20,000 really direct labor employees, so really doing the operations, so working in the productions, mainly in shift. And the rest is really production overhead, R&D, and standard central functions, as you know. And this is the topic we are mainly working on. And if I now come from the talent acquisition organization globally, then you really have to think about what can we do out of that? So what can we do to improve our processes? What can we do to help our business to fill the positions faster? And to be honest, I would love to have a 24 hours response time for a candidate. We are far away from that, to be honest. But this is also depending on the amount of applications we are getting, and it depends a bit. And also, your question was a bit tricky in the sense of are the application volume is going down or up? Because it depends on the country, on the positions. So for production stuff, we usually don't have any bigger problems to recruit the people, although it's quite a high volume. And in this curve, by the way, the real production operators are not even included. So we're only talking about really professional indirect labor positions globally. No students, no operators. And our general approach for that was we have to think about two different topics here when we are talking about recruiter at talent acquisition organization, high tech and high touch. And high tech is quite obviously that what we talked about today already in the direction of AI, automation, standardization, everything what's going this direction. And I really love the way of enabling also the employees to come a bit closer to the AI topic, because sometimes it's still a bit scary. Yeah, if you really talk about how can we use AI, ChatGPT, and so on for our organization, then we usually have to think a bit around the corner, because we are a big company. We are a big German company, and we have even a policy how we work responsible with artificial intelligence. So we can't access ChatGPT or other AI tools. So it's just blocked. So if we think about AI, then we have to think about how can we implement in systems and how we can make sure that our business community colleagues are still happy with us and data privacy aspects and so on are considered here. So we implemented already some tools, and I will talk about that on a later slide a bit more. On the other hand side, if we're talking about talent acquisition, we have to talk about personal aspects. It's a very important point that although we have quite a lot of applications and our funnel is not so dramatically actually, our hiring rates are sometimes a bit higher compared to application to hiring rates. Referrals, by the way, it's 40 to 50% at Infineon. So we have a really good quality of employee referrals, and it's our second strongest channel for recruiting candidates globally. Not necessarily in Central Europe, but in Asia, for example, it's top topic. And talking about high touch means really being still a human interaction with the candidates, not spreading LinkedIn messages, just copy and paste all the time. You also have to think about how we can interact with our hiring managers to make them happy. Because if we are thinking about talent acquisition, then we have usually three different topics. We have our hiring managers, we have our candidates, and we have our recruiters. And they have to work together in a very good way. And we also have to bring our recruiters and talent acquisition colleagues to the next level here, thinking about negotiation. And critical thinking means also challenging decisions from hiring managers. I mean, in Europe, it's not necessarily a problem that you are speaking with higher graded managers. In Asia, it is a problem. So you don't have a recruiter challenging the decision of a managing director of a site. Never, ever. So we really have to come to a next level here. But it's not so easy. Even our processes now in this global organization are far away from having a similar level, because the expectations of the manager are just different. And from the other perspective, so what we are doing to be successful here, we still have the topic that there is a shortage of real talent, especially for the R&D area. We have bigger problems to attract the right talent and to also keep them within Infineon. So it's not only about hiring them, it's also about retaining them within the company. And although our attrition rate is very low, so we spoke about it in the break, we have around 5% attrition globally on average, which is quite a nice number. In Europe, even lower. And if you compare it with a market benchmark, we only have 2 countries globally where our attrition rate is higher than the market benchmark, Denmark and Portugal, interestingly. So we have 3 topics here, which are key for us. We have talent marketing, EVP, employer value proposition, very important topic for us. We have the recruiting part, especially with leveraging AI technologies in this area. And last but not least, emerging talent, when we're talking about lifting up our graduate share, apprenticeship programs, not only in Germany and Austria, also in other countries globally. And underlined with diversity and inclusion aspects, because also diversity and inclusion is part of the talent acquisition organization globally. And then looking to these 3 topics, EVP. So we have in general started our EVP project already, I think 2.5 years ago. And we did quite a lot of interviews with different colleagues internally, different levels. So from the lowest level operator up to the management board, to get a feeling why they decided back in time to come to Infineon and why they are still there. I mean, this important factor for us. And out of that, we had one of our talent marketing colleagues creating a really employer value proposition for Infineon. And out of that, we have quite a lot of material with a slogan behind, "We are in, are you in?" And then you can do quite a lot of things out of that, because we are also in to drive digitalization and decarbonization for the world and for our future, for the future itself, and also for our for the better future overall. Then we have emerging talent as a very core topic for us. We are a company where the hiring managers in the past always tried to hire the highest level of experience, especially if you think about R&D talents. Then it's easy to say, well, we have projects running and I need a person with 5 to 10 years of work experience exactly in this field. Yeah, for sure, then it's easier to fulfill the task. But in the end, you need also quite a lot of time to find this talent. If we find this talent, I mean, it's very challenging, especially in the semiconductor industry, finding the right persons. Semiconductors, although we are a big company, it's more or less a niche industry, and it's not so easy to find the people, and sometimes also to relocate the people to the right place. It's also a topic for us. And that's the reason why we said we have 2 different approaches here for emerging talent. One is, if we're talking about production related stuff, we are just not hiring them externally. We try to just kind of build our own talent, lifting up our apprentice program in different countries. At the moment we are really going up in Germany and Austria with the number of apprentices. That should just give you a number if you're from Germany. So we hired, for example, in Dresden in the last year 150 apprentices for our vocational training. So, and they will be our future employees in 3.5 years, which is quite nice, because we are striving for adding more than 1,000 people only in Dresden for the production in the next 5 years. And this is a very good base for that. And the second thing, especially for the R&D and central function positions, we are striving for hiring emerging talents in the sense of graduates. So we were at around 10% 4 or 5 years ago of graduate hiring from a quota. And now we are already on a level of 20% and striving for 1/4 of our total recruiting volume in this area, being really on a emerging talent graduate level. So out of the university with a maximum of 1 or depends 2 years of experience globally. And this combined with different programs is one of our main topics here for going forward. And the third thing what I had on the radar, also on these 3 main buckets for us, AI. So we are still doing quite a lot, and after each conference I realized we are not doing so bad at Infineon. So we are doing quite a lot of things. We are not on the forefront, so we are usually not the first runners. I mean, being a former Siemens company, that's not our DNA to do everything as a first company in the world. But we started to implement AI in our recruiting process. For example, Eightfold as an AI topic. Being a German company with a very strong workers' council, you can imagine how it was. The discussion was around 6 months with the workers' council, but in the end, we managed to implement it in roughly 1 year of project timeline, which was great. And we tried to keep as much of our process as it is, because otherwise you never ever would be able to implement such a tool in 1 year. But in the end, we also have to change ourselves now even more, because if you really want to leverage that what Eightfold and other AI tools can offer you, you really have to change your way of thinking. Just copy and paste the process will not bring you to the success in the future. And with that, we are also thinking about skill-based recruiting. We are already doing that. We have job profiles associated with skills, but we have to do more in this direction. Also the thinking of talent development aspects. So from I have a talent at the moment and I need a different kind of talent in 5 years. So how to develop an internal talent and which kind of talent should I hire today to really close my skill gap, which I probably have in 5 years. And also an important topic in this direction, adaptive recruiting, but I don't want to talk too much about this topic. And I'm not even sure how much time I still have left because your introductory words, I'm already done. Okay. That was actually also my last slide, more or less. Then I don't want to go through you anyway. We'll see the slides then later on. And then thanks a lot for listening and looking forward to the discussion then in the round.